The man of the hour, the man with the power, Texas Rangers General Manager Chris Young. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys.
What can you just walk us through your personal level of excitement when Jacob deGrom's like, I'm good to go. I'm coming to the Rangers.
It's really hard to describe. I think it's more exciting to explain Bruce Bochy's level of excitement when I called him and told him because his reaction was priceless. I think he said, I said, Boch, I got you a pitcher. And he said, who? And I said, Jacob deGrom. And he said, holy smokes. So it was wonderful.
Did he really say smokes, or are you cleaning that up for our audience?
No, he said smokes. He said smokes.
Chris, hey, it's Bassick, and I'm just wondering, how long of a process did that take? Did it come together quickly, or was it weeks of work, or maybe even possibly months of work?
No, Mike, it's a great question. I mean, it was months of work in terms of our internal process. There was a lot of background work that went into our scouting department, our analytics department, our pitching department, our biomechanical department. We did a ton of background work to understand. We do this with all of our players, all the free agents that we target, to understand the decision we're making. I think once we were able to talk to Jacob and had an initial conversation, at that point, I think it came together relatively quickly, and it was a great process.
So when it comes to Jacob deGrom, obviously a lot of concerns over health throughout his career, especially the last few seasons. What makes you feel confident that you are getting a pitcher who can be pretty much healthy throughout this 5-year contract?
Yeah, Mike, I think it's a great question because there's a lot of things that go into that. And I think that for us, it was part of our process from the medical side, again, from looking at his track record, his biomechanical movement patterns, studying pitchers similar to him in terms of the way they age, the workloads that he's had up until this point in his career, and then understanding the pitcher himself, understanding the person, the makeup, the work, the desire to be great, all of those things. And certainly, I think as you look at any pitcher, and I'm living proof of that, there's no sure thing. I mean, pitchers have injuries, and I think that there's a level of expectation. There will be moments where all of our pitchers experience that. But I think by and large, we feel comfortable with, from a medical standpoint, feel very confident in our team doctor and medical team and our ability to support Jacob and all of our pitchers. And we're looking forward to keeping him healthy and on the field.
Chris, I'm curious, when you make a signing like this, that's a lot of money invested. Do you expect a leadership role from a guy? Do you have that discussion with him? And does he need to have discussions with other pitchers and be that leader as the ace? Or is it just, hey, you just get on the mound and do your thing?
Well, it's some of both. I mean, you can never ask somebody to be somebody they're not in terms of a vocal leader. That said, we're very confident in Jacob and his leadership abilities. But I think most importantly, when you have somebody at Jacob deGrom's caliber on your team, it naturally elevates everybody. And this is something that I heard from a number of players, former players, teammates I respect, advisors that I have. And they just said when Jacob deGrom is pitching, you come to the ballpark with a different feeling that night, knowing that you are going to win the game. And it's pretty exciting that we now have that in front of our rotation.
Now, when you get the money for that deal, do you go into the owner's money silo, or how does that transaction take place?
Ray Davis, our ownership group, have been unbelievably supportive. I think Ray said it himself. He's tired of losing. Our fans deserve a winning team, and he's intent on providing the resources to do that. And he's been wonderful, and it's been great working with him. I'm grateful for the support and the confidence in our baseball group.
Not that you wouldn't always take more pitchers. I think we all understand that. But with the move for Odorizzi a little bit ago and then Heaney, do you feel like the rotation in theory is set, or do you feel like you all still have the availability to shop?
Well, I think we'll always stay open-minded and see how the best ways to improve the club, whether that's from a pitching standpoint or a position player. But I think ultimately, given with Dane Dunning and Glenn Otto and some of the younger pitchers that we have reaching the upper levels of the minor leagues, I feel pretty good about our pitching depth. But it's there can never be enough, and I think no team goes into the season feeling great about where they are from a depth perspective. But we'll always stay open-minded in the best ways to improve the club.
So almost Sacramento King and current general manager Chris Young joining us right now on the fan. And Chris, I was wondering at the winter meetings, you have quality and you have quantity in your farm system. I was wondering how many teams were coming up to you trying to pluck possibly the quantity that you have in your farm system.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I think that's something that's been exciting for us as we evaluate really the depth of our system, is that we do have some high upside. We have some players that are going to be solid major league players as well. And, I think just realistically, there's not going to be room for everybody. So I think that other teams have been very aggressive with our prospects. We're in a great position. This is something that has been wonderful in terms of ownership support of us accelerating our rebuild, our timeline to win through free agency without us having to really give up our prospects. And I think we're well positioned moving forward. We're very excited, but we need to give these guys time to develop, and a lot of them are going to be very good Texas Rangers.
Yesterday, Chris, we were talking about left field and possibly center field. I know you got Bubba Thompson, who I believe can steal 100 bases in a season. It's just getting to first base, which I think he can do. And then Leody Taveras, who's a promising player. Would you say that left field and center field are, I don't know if the right word is concern, but where would you kind of be looking at your team right now going, hey, I kind of want to look at this part and upgrade that part of the team?
Well, I don't know necessarily if we view it as upgrade. I think solidify and provide an element of consistency that, young players are going to go through ups and downs, and we recognize that. And so there are going to be moments where each player struggles. We're going to see that with Josh Young at third base too. And, you see it with veteran players too. Mark and Corey, they have a proven track record of coming through those struggles and in shortening those struggles. So I think that with those guys specific to Leody and Bubba, we believe in them. We think they can be really good major league players. I think that Leody's probably a little bit ahead of Bubba just in terms of his big league experience, the adjustments he's made at the upper levels of the minor leagues. But nonetheless, we have high confidence in both players. But we recognize that, we may need to complement those players in certain ways or provide veteran leadership around them in the outfield. So, we'll stay open-minded and just explore the market and find the best ways to put the best team on the field.
I'm not saying that either one of those players, Leody or Bubba, that you just mentioned, are old by any means, but I was kind of curious if you could walk us through maybe the stigma that sometimes gets attached to a player once they get to, 25, 26, if they haven't really hit, and people thinking, well, this kid ain't got it.
Yeah, it's probably the hardest part of being a baseball evaluator, and I think that nobody has it perfectly nailed, that different players mature and hit their primes at different points, and some reach their prime at 23 years old. Some, it's 30 years old. So you just never know who's going to reach their prime. I think it's our job to provide the resources for each player and then help accelerate that window for them to achieve their full potential. And I can't predict as to when that's going to come for each player, but I think that the better environment we create, the more resources we provide, and the more winning players we have around our young guys, the better opportunity they have to be the best versions of themselves, and that's what we're attempting to do.
Hey, Chris, Kevin, myself, Mike, we've been fans, since we could pick up a baseball of the Rangers. We've grown up in this area. Yeah. And the thing is, we watched, growing up, too, though, that other pitchers or whatever would kind of use the Rangers as leverage, and it always kind of felt gross.
I'm talking about you, Roger Clemens. I'm talking about you.
And so I just wanted to say thanks, for delivering. When we saw deGrom and that note, it was like, whoa, whatever, and then all of a sudden it delivers. So I just want to say thanks for there. So we really appreciate that as longtime Rangers fans. The rest of this team, as we try to – go ahead.
No, just to comment on first of all, I appreciate that. I am a Rangers fan first and foremost, and I have visions of every kid in North Texas wearing the Rangers tee again, and everybody taking pride in our organization. And Ranger fans have been through a lot, and to have a moment where a player chooses to come here and believe in what we're doing. He's one of the best players in the world, and we had that with Marcus and Corey last year, and now Jacob again. It's pretty special, and our fans deserve it, and most importantly, they deserve a championship, and we're intent on providing that.
Just if I can play just a little bit of devil's advocate here, because I'm also in that, category of I love to see it, but I've been burned so many times. What would you say to people who are like, Corey, Marcus, and now Jacob came here not because of that, but because it was the most years and the most money?
Ultimately players want to win, and they're not coming here to lose. They're not coming here because they believe that winning is impossible. I asked them each as we went through the process. Certainly there's a financial component to this, and I can't tell you what Jacob's market was. I can't tell you what Corey or Marcus's market was. I know the offers that we made were very compelling, but I think the most compelling part is that they believe in who we are and what we're building. And I do not believe for any dollar amount they would have come here without the ability to win championships. And I asked them very directly, are you willing to be part of the build? Are you willing to be part of the hard work that's going to be required? Because it's not going to be as easy. You're not stepping into a situation where this team is built to win the World Series immediately. And they each looked me in the eye, in fact, sort of bowed up and said, that doesn't scare me. I believe in what we can do, and let's go.
I like that.
Man, especially, Chris, with Houston, obviously the world champs right now. Seattle has had 2 back-to-back good years. So, I mean, your competition in the division is pretty fierce right now with those 2 teams.
There's no doubt. I mean, we're behind those teams. Anaheim is unbelievably talented, and Oakland has a great way of rebuilding quickly. So it's never going to be easy. But I think we're assembling a collection of talent. We have a deep farm system. We're building this for the long term, mixing in the right veteran players that are winners, that are competitors, and ultimately we feel really good about where we are. But we recognize, we've got a ways to go, and we're looking forward to going out and proving it.
So, Chris, we are at a baseball card shop right now, which a lot of people go prospect hunting for. So when I look at guys I love Evan Carter, just personally, I think that he's going to be a really good big leaguer for you in the future. But a lot of people obviously want to know about Jack Leiter, and I know he didn't go to Arizona Fall League, but Kumar Rocker did, Owen White. Cole Winn obviously had a disappointing season in the minor leagues last year. Who are maybe a couple of guys when you get to spring training? I know you're going to be looking at all, but maybe can have an impact as the season progresses?
Oh, Mike, I think all the names you listed amongst many, many more, I think that there's a lot of guys that we're very intrigued by that we think have really a bright future. And what that ceiling is, it's hard to predict. I think that you see some natural talent and you can dream on it, but you also understand that this game's hard. And so I think that, these guys, I personally subscribe to, I want these guys to go through struggles in the minor leagues so that they've been through it. And when they come to the big leagues, they're not failing for the first time. So when I see guys like Cole Winn or Jack Leiter or Justin Foscue or, all of our prospects who have struggled at different points, faced adversity and gotten through it, I think it makes them better big league players. So I to some degree it's good for them, but we also want to see them bounce back. And so, the timing of each player as to when they arrive and how good they're going to be, I wish I was smart enough to predict. I will tell you that I believe in our player development system and some of the changes that we've made there and the way we're creating an environment for these guys to really be their best. And, I think as they come up and there's not as much pressure on them to perform, we have a lot of veteran players around them and they can kind of slide in and ease into their roles in the big league club. I think we're going to be in good shape.